Welcome to the Coffee Journeys show, hosted by me, Piotr Zagorowski, author of the Coffee Journeys blog. In this show, I'll be sharing my journey from being a technical person to a leader and discussing topics such as leadership, technology, and intentional living. I'll be sharing my unique perspective and insights and offering guidance on how to develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed in today's world. Whether you're an aspiring leader, a technology enthusiast, or simply looking to learn more about the world around you, this podcast is for you. So, join me for the engaging and thought-provoking conversations on leadership, technology, and intentional living on the Coffee Journeys show. Hello. It's been a while and I don't have any excuses other than I changed job again and I didn't have so much time for recording and editing and basically take care of my podcast. So for those who listen to some of the episodes of my podcast, I changed job last year and I again changed job this year. Actually, it's been 3 or 4 months now. And yes, that triggers me to cover some topic that I've been talking about with some of my friends and people who lost their job and who actually changed job as well. So there are still layoffs and it's still going on. I have a lot of friends from my previous jobs that they lost job and they still cannot find it. When I'm recording this, it's December 2023 and some people still don't have job. On the other hand, some people may not be happy with their jobs. I have one particular friend that he changed job, but he wasn't happy. He didn't last a lot in a newly found job. He had to change job again. So today's topic is in this area. When enough is enough. How do you know you're unhappy? How do you measure this? How do you find what to do and what you can do to get out of this dark scenario when you are unhappy at your job and you don't know what to do about it? I divided this into 3 subsections. So one is when you're happy with your organization, you still want to work for this company, but maybe you want to progress your job, your particular engagement. Maybe you want to get promotion, you don't know how. It's up to you. It's part of extreme ownership. You need to own it. Maybe your manager is covering this with you, maybe not. Maybe they are busy, maybe there's too many people reporting to them and they do not cover your career development, your personal development. It's up to you. First of all is your career progress tips within your current job. Second is going to be something I call tour of duty, where you think about changing temporarily your engagement and basically change teams. And finally, when you still think like this place is not for me, I'm not progressing here, I'm not happy, and I need to change something, I'm going to present you very, very short framework, actually few questions that you can ask yourself and find maybe it's going to be time for some bigger changes. So let's go back to part number 1, which is career progress tips. And how do I start? Where do I start? I would propose that you start with journaling. I covered journaling in episode number 12. I covered journal in general, like how it's going to improve your well-being. This kind of journal is slightly different. It's something I call professional journaling. And it's basically starting writing up maybe every day, maybe every Friday, a few things that you have learned, few things that you heard, few things that are important. And it's actually literally a few questions that you're going to ask yourself and write some answers or some thoughts around these questions. Question number 1 is, what happened today that is worth noting. It could be anything really. It could be something that is worth because you learned it. It's something that is worth because you may use it in the future. Something that is even like a quote. You heard something or you listen to podcasts and so on, so on. You just write it down and it's basically worth going through maybe in your Friday weekly review or just reading from time to time and learning from it. Another question that I would encourage you to answer every so often is, what did I learn in conversations today? Whether you're working from home remotely or from office, you obviously have conversations with people. It could be one-on-one with your manager, could be one-on-one with your peers, could be town halls, could be coffee conversations, whatever conversations you are having. You always learn something. That's why we converse with people, right? That's why we talk to people, to exchange ideas, to exchange experiences, and so on. And some of these things could be just, I would say shallow, but some of this could be actually worth noting and worth pondering on. So if it's something that you learn from, it's definitely worth noting and worth thinking about this in the future. Question number 3 is, which questions have been answered? And what I mean by this is that maybe when you start doing this exercise, you have some questions that are not answered. And maybe you have already some questions about organization, about people, about projects. Whatever it is, it's worth noting that, today I learned that this project is going to this direction, or this question has been answered, and what has been finished, what has been completed, what has been learned from it on my personal level or professional level. And finally, I kind of mentioned or alluded on this, is what are the new questions? What is going on, what I discovered, what I learned from conversations or meetings or reading documentation, and maybe what is blocking me. What are questions that need pondering on and need some answers so that you can start thinking about them, and maybe you have these answers and you're going to present to your manager. And this is a good segue because this is in subsections called Career Progress Tips. How do you take these notes, these thoughts, these questions or answers, and how do you make your career progress around this? So obviously you should have already established one-on-one with your manager, a regular one. And part of these conversations should be your career development conversations. If they are not happening, take ownership and try to establish them. Try to talk to your manager. Can we have one-on-one? I just need to talk to you. I need to sync with you, and you can build this relationship. And every so often you should be talking about your career, whether it's once a month or probably at least once a quarter. There should be some conversations about your career development. And if you plan to get promotion, if you plan to have like next level of your role, whether it's senior engineer or some other titles that you are after, it's worth checking regularly with your manager. And what can you ask your manager, or what should you ask your manager? First of all, what skill gaps do I need to fill to get this promotion? Whether it's learning new stuff, whether it's having some answers, or even some questions. Sometimes question could be worth more than answer, because that make the whole organization or whole team thinking about area that might not be bubbled up otherwise. Second question is, what results do you need to see as an evidence? So obviously you want to get promotion, you have probably some plans for it in organizational level, like being senior engineer means A, B, C, D. What results do I need to have for your manager to see as evidence? And finally, what projects can I join or even start to get those results, to basically be exposed, to be able to learn new stuff and new things, to be able to close gaps on your skills. That concludes first subsection. when you basically do your journal every so often, whether it's every day or every week, and then you sync with your manager with very specific, structured conversations about changing your job effectively, changing the scope or changing your title or getting promotion or getting more interesting projects to work on. But sometimes it may not work, whether your manager is not mature or they still don't have time for you, or maybe within your team, within your organization, there is no chance to do something else. It's rarely, but still can happen. What else you can do? Next thing that I want to mention to you, it's called tour of duty. So what's tour of duty? This time is not a military term, and I refer a lot to military terminology in this podcast, but this is just today's corporate standard, I would say, or landscape, where it basically means changing teams temporarily. It signifies a commitment to a specific mission or project, and it's a way that you can align your skills and aspirations within organizational goals. So why you should consider tour of duty, or who should consider tour of duty? Well, tour of duty offers structured approach for professionals seeking change within their current roles. So if you're still not happy with your current role, after talking to your manager, trying to progress your career, you can actually change your team. And whether you want to lead a new project or drive some innovation or tackle a specific challenge, tour of duty provides a focus and time-bound commitment. And I would like to stress two things. Like, one is that you should find opportunity. So maybe there is a project that's going on or is about to be started, or there's need for innovation, like people want to change something, they don't know how. You can even organize this team, but it's on you to find it. Sometimes your manager will bring it, sometimes other team's manager will bring it to you, but it's on you to basically assess and being sure that, yes, this is something I want to do and I want some change. And the second thing to stress is that it's time bound. So you don't need to worry that, okay, if I change team, there's going to be forever or something like this. You're not applying for this role. You're changing temporarily as tour of duty, meaning that you just have new duty for some time and you hone your skills, you try new things, you learn new things, and you go back to your team. And maybe there's opportunity there. Maybe people think you are good at this and they will promote you. Maybe they want to change this on more permanent basis. I don't know, but it should be in very beginning time bound. So what are benefits for you? Obviously, I mentioned few, but it's opportunity for skill development and career growth. That's obvious. By being involved in some new mission or project, you can acquire new skills, broaden your experience, and position yourself for advancement for future. It is also a chance to make a lasting impact by elevating your own professional profile. I already mentioned it. You want to get promotion, you want to get this new role, you should gain knowledge, experience, and skills. And this is a fantastic opportunity. And obvious benefits for your manager, for your leadership, is that they start gaining diverse talent and they can foster innovation and adaptability within organization. So how you implement a tour of duty approach? First of all, communicate openly with your manager. Then identify specific goals and then establish a time frame for the mission. This structured approach will ensure clarity and alignment and setting the stage for a successful tour of duty. And remember, tour of duty is not a job assignment. It is strategic commitment to create change and drive progress within your current professional journey. And now, if there are any managers listening to me, I want to give you 4 points for managers just to consider when you either organize tour of duty or one of your employee one of your people want to go for tour of duty engagement. First of all, clearly define the statement of work, goals, deliverables, and expectations in collaboration within the direct manager, whether it's you, and the receiving manager, the other person, and obviously tour of duty candidate. Then address whether the scope is specific deliverables or some general resource support for a defined period. Sometimes it's just innovation. You need to do something. There is no scope. There is no deliverables, but you assemble a team that will address it. Sometimes it's very, very specific deliverables. We want to create a component X, Y, Z within a period of time, like 6 months or so, and maybe ship it. I don't know, but it's good to have this clarity from the very beginning. And finally, clarify if on-call and pager duty are part of the engagement. It is super important, and for both teams, team that person is going to for tour of duty to other team and the receiving team. If the team is just 4 people, I mean, that's probably absolute minimum for on-call engagement. And if one person is considering tour of duty to join some other team, I mean, it's going to be tough on the team that is going to be losing this person, because 3 people is probably not enough. So consider this. And also, on the other hand, if a person is joining other team for tour of duty and on-call is part of this engagement, well, that might be also creating some anxiety, especially if the component that you need to support, there is no familiarity and it takes time to get familiar and then be put on on-call rota. So that is something to consider. Second point to consider for managers in terms of tour of duty is check-in periods. You need to conclude regular check-ins between direct manager, receiving manager, just in general to cover some feedback, opportunities, challenges, and maybe career development discussions. You see person from different angle because now it's in your team. Let's say you're on the receiving end, and you will have some feedback. You will have some opportunities, and you may have some points to the career discussion and development discussions for manager that normally manages this person. And finally, establish regular check-ins, again involving all parties in terms of deliverables and work status and progress, just to check how it's going. It helps with planning. Point number 3 within points for managers in terms of tour of duty is obviously continuous refinement of onboarding. If tour of duty is something that you do regularly within your organization or team, you need to maintain up-to-date documentation on platform orientations. Maybe you can utilize recorded demos for team orientation and share them with incoming members. But for sure, you need to develop checklists, standard orientation emails, templates, document templates. In general, automate everything, whether it's automated scripts or something that happens in background. But if you do tour of duty regularly, you need to invest in onboarding, I would say, and keep this refined. And basically ask the candidate or people who are part of tour of duty, like, what could I improve? What can I improve in order to make sure that onboarding is easier? And the final 4th point on tour of duty, I would say for managers, but also for everyone, is that there is team dynamic and culture that will change. I mean, there's new person coming. It's almost like having new hire. This just is temporary, but it doesn't matter. It's all about this norming, storming, performing. But some things will change. So you need to probably at minimum review team agreements with the entire team whenever a new member joined for tour of duty, and ensure awareness and adherence to the team culture. I covered team agreement in episode number 7, like why you should be doing it, how to do it with very, very practical examples, so you can go and review. But and to promote inclusivity for tour of duty members, emphasizing their importance in long-term maintainability. Make sure that temporary member of your team understands how your team proceeds. Encourage collaboration, PR reviews for both sides, and be aware there's going to be some changes in culture and team dynamics. And then that concludes number 2 of subsections, being tour of duty. And if you are the person who changed something, who was part of tour of duty engagement, and you still feel like something is not right, when and how you know that enough is enough, and when you want to progress to this final stage, I would say, where you want to change your job, maybe you need to leave company and so on. This is going to be quick. I'm going to share with you the 4 qualities of work. I learned it from James Clear, author of the Atomic Habit book. He shared this with his newsletter. I highly encourage you to subscribe. It's very short. It covers a few things. And in one newsletter, he covered the 4 quality of job. And it's basically 4 components, I would say. One is enjoyment. So I need to answer the question or find out if I still enjoy it. The second one is I'm good at it. The fourth one is I make good money. And the fourth one is I'm around fascinating people. So, sometimes all 4 of them are answered yes. I still enjoy it. Yes, I'm still good at what I do. Yes, I make good money. And obviously, I'm surrounded by fascinating people. Sometimes it's more difficult. Sometimes you think, okay, I make good money, but I'm not enjoying it. And sometimes I'm surrounded by fascinating people and I make good money, but I'm not good at this, or I feel like I could be better, and I'm definitely not enjoying it. There could be many combinations. That could be different points of the scale, I would say. But basically, how I approach it is I try to answer this in reverse order, how James actually proposed this. So where are fascinating people? Are they around me? Maybe not. In what ways can I make money with them? Is current engagement good for me? Can I change something? Tour of duty, whatever it is, new promotions and so on. We covered this in previous subsections. Which ones am I good at? So if you have different ways of making money, maybe some ways you find that you are good and some ways you find you are not so good. And this is a separate topic, but maybe you want to become manager, maybe you want to become tech lead, maybe you are a manager and you want to become technical person again, and so on. And finally, which one do I enjoy? This is the same situation. Like maybe I'm not enjoying being technical anymore. Maybe I enjoy it, but maybe I enjoy more leading other people to be more technical or to develop themselves, and so on and so on. So in essence, this is basically a framework that you should start utilizing maybe during your daily journal or weekly journal. I actually wrote it and put it on Post-it and stick it to my screen. And probably that's why I actually changed job recently. I would say quite often. It was 1 year apart, but comparing to previous 14 years, it was actually quite often. As we conclude today's episode, remember that a great career is more than just a job. It is a holistic blend of enjoyment, proficiency, financial rewards, and meaningful connections. Take the time to reflect on all those 3 sections I provided. One is basically find time with your manager and discuss your opportunities within your current job. The second one, maybe you can change teams for temporary engagement called tour of duty. The fourth one is the most important one. It will drive your whole career, is the 4 qualities of work. And finally, set yourself on a path towards a truly satisfying professional life. And this is all I have for you today. I value feedback a lot. That's why I ask you to review my podcast in your favorite podcasting platform and give it as many stars as you think it deserves. By doing so, this podcast is going to be more visible and I can reach more people to provide value. And before you go, if you would like to join the community of people who are determined to help each other and grow together, join my newsletter at coffeejourneys.blog/newsletter. Thanks for tuning in today, and until next time, have a great